Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 293 of Optimal Living Advice, our advice column style show here in the OLD network, on which I, Greg Audino, answer questions sent in by listeners concerning various life struggles. We talk about them, we try to see them anew, and hopefully provide a foundation from which to work so you all are better prepared to come to some great conclusions and answers for yourselves. There is a lot to get through in today's question, though. It's a bit longer. So I'm going to get right into it. Listen closely, make sure not to miss anything. I'm going to read it now and then provide some feedback as we optimize your life. My life has been flipped upside down since the beginning of the pandemic. I had my absolute dream job, which I was fired from unfairly. During that time, I was also a full-time student getting a degree paid for by my company. I did receive the degree before getting fired, but I have to keep this from my husband. I love my husband, but he is one of those people who sabotage any progress I try to make in life. If he had his way, I would have never gotten my high school diploma. I also lost my aunt and had to start taking care of her special needs son for a period of time. I love him and was happy to do this, but it led to a lot of destruction in the house and more resentment from my husband. My husband started verbally abusing me. He started accusing me of stealing his money, my cousin's money, taking a loan out on his life insurance policy, and other things that I have not done. He also requested DNA tests on our children. Work-wise, I have not been able to keep a full-time job. I was just fired from job number 4, and each job I've had wants me to work for minimum wage. I just want to walk away from my marriage so badly, but I know the repercussions from this decision will kick me in the butt. What are your thoughts? All right, thanks so much, Asker. Everyone, it is no easy feat to send in a question like this. It's also not an easy question for me to receive. I'm definitely meeting this question with a lot of feelings of concern and overwhelm myself. There's a lot here, and to be frank, this question was longer, but had to be trimmed for the sake of time. No major details have been removed, though. So my instinct when breaking this question down is to work on it part by part and separate everything that we have here. Otherwise, it feels very tangled, like one big puzzle to overcome all at once. And as I try to do that, I can't help but think that my reaction to being asked this question is more than likely a microcosm of your reaction to living this question, Asker. And that's because when stress compiles like this, a few things happen. So first, your stressors bleed into one another. It becomes very easy to be confronted with a difficult situation, a new one, and rather than addressing it for what it is from a base emotional state, our first reaction sounds something like, now this, I'm already dealing with all these other things, I don't have the bandwidth for something else. So they fuel one another. Now surely there are other reactions one might have to this, such as numbing and ignoring everything, but given how you've described your feelings, I'm getting a strong sense that this one is on brand for you. And then, because of that, it can feel impossible to make progress because you don't even know where to start. And it's hard to remember where one problem ends and another begins. So it's my hope, Asker, that you are able to separate each of these concerns from one another rather than clumping them all together, just as I will try to do today. Now, I don't want to discredit the severity of any of these happenings from the past few years, and I love how you made time to express all of them, because you've undergone a lot of pain recently, a lot of pain, and you shouldn't be glossing over any of it. So while you continue to honor your feelings, know that at this moment of everything that's happened, you are left with 2 remaining elements that you can address, those being the future of your work and the future of your marriage. Now, when it comes to your work, it's time to be honest about any patterns that might exist. Perhaps you were fired unfairly the first time, and I'm not sure if you're suggesting that you've been fired 4 times from your last 4 jobs, or if this most recent firing is only the second after your dream job, which was the first, and the 2 in between were not firings. But after 2 to 4 firings in a short time span and 4 departed jobs either way, we can't ignore any commonalities that might be in play. So what's there? Have you been receiving a recurring piece of criticism? Or maybe it's about the places you've tried to work at. Does the culture ever feel good from the beginning? Do these companies have goals and values that are out of alignment with yours, inevitably causing some friction? Having your degree now is an amazing change, but you're probably spinning your wheels within another area of your work life. And it feels really crucial to me for you to figure out what that is. Now, let's talk about your marriage. So pause here, an aside from Greg. You mentioned in your initial email that you've been listening for over a year now. I assume then that you know how much I hate to be black and white about things. I try not to lay out strong opinions too much, mostly because I think the majority of opinions get more misguided the stronger they get. That's another story for another day. But this is a rare occasion on which I feel compelled to cast that aside and speak very clearly about something. Because I feel more prepared to not provide you with advice today, but instead something that I think might be more helpful. What I want to provide you today is a strong sense of urgency. Bluntly put, the way you've described your marriage feels extraordinarily unsafe to me. It is not my place to tell you to leave a marriage. It still wouldn't be, even if I knew more about it. So I'm not encouraging that. That's for you to figure out. And in order to make that decision for yourself, I do think it's time to deeply question what repercussions you think would be had if you were to split with your husband and how those repercussions stack up against your life as it is right now. You should not be in a marriage in which you are verbally abused. You should not be in a marriage in which you aren't encouraged to succeed and can't share your successes. You should not be in a marriage in which you are subject to all of these accusations as a means of abuse. Now, can these types of problems be repaired in some marriages? Absolutely, in some. And I hope you might consider either how to try repairing these things, or if you're even enthusiastic about trying to repair them at this point, because you might not be. Either would be okay. But they point you in different directions in terms of what to do next. And as of now, in this current state, a healthy marriage does not exist. This type of treatment is highly damaging to your self-worth, and whether or not you've been the perfect wife, you do not deserve that kind of treatment, and it's objectively keeping you from living a happier and more fulfilling life. I wish I had the time or the knowledge of you to comb through all of this, but we don't have that luxury in an advice column. So I highly recommend you reach out to a counselor and really get to the bottom of why you tolerate this behavior, how you might be allowing it in ways that you don't realize, and how it's affecting other areas of your life in ways that you don't realize. That would be a good start. And I know that might sound like a lot, but it's not to say there isn't a way through this or that you've lost control of your life. You haven't. Things can certainly improve, but it is going to take action on your part and changes to life as it's looked for a while. Asker, I'm wishing you all the best with this. I really am. I hope my answer today was helpful to you as a stepping stone, and if not, please feel free to reach out again and ask for clarification or whatever it is that you might need. Everybody else, I appreciate you staying through the end, and I hope that today's episode was helpful to you in whatever way that you might have needed it to be. If you're left with questions, though, and you would like my help, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I can be reached via email at advice@oldpodcast.com, advice@oldpodcast.com. As always, you will definitely hear back from me, and I will do my best for you. That brings us to the end, though, folks. So have a great rest of the work week if you're listening in real time, and I'll talk to you on Friday, where your optimal life awaits.